And welcome to a truly sharply focused edition of Ben's Junk. But aren't they all? Well, I'm slightly belatedly getting around to this one. So if you remember, not too long ago, I went over into Minnesota to do the 10th anniversary episode of Archive, and at the same time, while I was there, I made a thrifting episode. And the chief pick of that episode was this Sears Whisper-Matic 4 slide projector. I think it's from the early 70s, but information has not been forthcoming about this thing. Hell, a manual has not been forthcoming. But what made it the pick of the lot was it was only $1. It was missing the carousel. There's always a catch, isn't there? But otherwise, it tested as well as I could figure out in the store. You know, it had the cord, I plugged it in, fan came on, lamp came on, all the controls worked, it would advance when I told it to, and so on and so forth. So great, you know, and if it turns out to be a total dud, you know, it's $1. Now, I knew full well that every time I get a great deal on some piece of gear that's missing one part, I'm going to spend more on that one part than anything else. And this was no exception, but we'll get back to that. So anyway, I have the towel underneath. I will take it out for the demo segment, but I was cleaning this before I got started, and it's one of those weird things where this time around when cleaning it, and just, you know, a little Windex, it brought out all the scratches, and I found out there's some cracks in the plastic and stuff I didn't notice. So actually cleaning it made it look less nice for one of those rare occasions. But anyway, this has a lot of detachable parts. They're at times very difficult to get off. I can see how this would have sustained some damage just in normal use. This looks like it's so nice and easy and compact, but this is a pretty quirky thing. Actually, I would imagine, I don't have any experience with them, but I'd imagine one of those Kodak deals where you stick the carousel in just on top, you pop it in. I imagine those are simpler to operate, and we'll get into that. So let's see if I can get at least this front piece off without any trouble, without having to take a cut, or getting a cut for that matter. I've been starting to have better luck with it. There we go. So we got the power cord in here. Now, once upon a time, so to speak, there was a remote control here. It rests right in there. You can see the socket. And you can tell this is meant to come out. I can't imagine they'd stick the Whisper-Matic logo on the underside otherwise. But there's no battery to this. And I don't know what this runs on exactly. I tore this down as far as I dared, but it was getting to the point where desoldering would have had to have been involved, and the very real possibility of me not getting this back together and you know, destroying the look of it and everything, destroying that beautiful veneer. So it's still fully functional if I just have it in and pop it down, but for the sake of this demo, it's tough to get out just when it's resting. It kind of sticks. So I won't pop that back in until I'm you know, truly ready to go here. So we've got our three main controls here. We've got the fan only, fan and lamp. Obviously I don't have this plugged in, and probably for the best, you know, this towel could catch fire, I'd imagine. This does get hot. I do not like that. It has a good fan to it, but it still gets plenty hot. So we can jump between forward and reverse, and then the focus knob, which I will have to take this front piece off to truly demo and probably manhandle this thing a bit. So here's where we start getting into the more problematic parts to come off. So, because it looks like if this were on properly, you would think that it was just part of how it's supposed to be. But no, if I turn the focus knob, you'll see it probably helps if I have it down. It would extend past the point, potentially, where this piece fits. So that's all the way out. And I tried to very lightly white grease this focus, the lens here, but it just doesn't work. It's a little grumpy, but it's still usable, if nothing else. And I should note that I do have means of doing a direct feed, so to speak, of slides. But I thought it'd be kind of cool to have a machine around that if I had some slides to look at, I could just quickly pull it out, pop it in, and go to town, as opposed to me getting the transfer rig out and getting it on the computer and loading it up just right and all that. And yeah, so just something a little simpler, like how it's nice to still have a proper 8mm projector, even though I could take a scan of at least a silent film with the Wolverine. So anyway, one more detachable part here. Running out of places to put things. This thing's going to be a skeleton by the time I'm done. So this was another one. This is for maintenance only. But down in there we got the lamp, and I noticed it's the same or a similar one to my ViewMaster projector, and I do not like these things. They're hard to come by these days. They're very expensive. I checked the going rate for a DAT bulb. It's at best $62 as of my shooting this. And yeah, not my favorite, but it seems to work. I'll just grit my teeth through it. If I happen to come across another projector or somewhere else that uses a better bulb or a more modern one, like the one in a dentist's lamp, then yeah, I'll probably wind up switching over to that. But I thought you'd want to look down there. There are no belts or anything. Everything is truly mechanical in there. Everything is just gears and pulleys and stuff, and only a few capacitors and lights. It's not really the most sophisticated thing I've ever seen, so it's right at my skill level, I guess. But yeah, I guess I will, well, I'll pop this up just for fun here. So when I do have the carousel in here, I can extract a slide if I'm so inclined. So let me get this back together. So I was talking about carousels at the beginning and how I spent far more on the carousel. Well, at first when I got back into South Dakota after that trip, I just wasn't finding any carousels at all. And then they started to turn up again, but now the damn thrift store wants $10 for a Kodak one. And I'm not positive the Kodak will work with this, so I figured, well, I'll suck it up and I'll find a proper Sears one. And I did. Part of the Sears Easy Load series. There's a name for you. But it did kind of confirm to me that I think it would be more or less interchangeable with a Kodak. But I don't have one to compare against. So it's a 100 slide tray. We got a little notch here to represent number 1. Now getting it to land right at number 1 is a real trick, so I'm not even going to attempt that one right here. But to load it, it is a little unusual. So you have to pull out this latch all the way. You put this down curvy side towards the machine, and it should just lock right in. Granted, I'd have to be eyeballing it to make sure I was starting on whichever slide spot I wanted. But once it's in there, all you do is that. And then you can pull up the editor bit if I wanted to pull a specific slide midstream. So that's really all there is to that. Now, before we get to the demo here, I do have 2 more things I want to discuss. One, getting back to this remote, it's not just, you can do some of the same stuff as on the main controls here, like forward and reverse. Cycle just means the next one. You just press it and it goes to the next slide. But you can also put this on a timer. So it clicks on and off. So if you have it cranked all the way up, it's off, and then you can turn it on, and however fast you want to advance automatically, it'll do it for you. I haven't really played with that. Again, I've only done a full test on this thing once. And for demonstration purposes on this show, I'll probably wait till the end to do a timed one, because I just want to be able to go through all the individual parts here. So anyway, as for material, I'm not going to show you Benny Boy's vacation slides. So it's pretty well known that I love the old Black Hawk Films Corporation. And I picked this up not too long ago. Unfortunately, I don't think this is a complete set, but I just had to pick it up. I'd never seen anything like it. So we've got a set of slides here that are, if you're familiar with the early days of movies before the show, they would run slides, and it would be usually courtesy stuff. Please remove your hat, and so on. Well, we got a little selection of those. So obviously these are reproductions, but the original ones date to, I would guess, between 1900 and 1925. So we'll use those for a demonstration. And we are coming on up on Silent Movie Day here at the end of the month. And I guess I'm going to have to do 2 videos for that this year because of how it works out. It's Ben's Junk Week on the 29th. So I'll have to do something that ties in with that just to keep the theme going. But yeah, we'll get a little early jump here on Silent Movie Day with some vintage courtesy slides, decorum slides. What's that? Your Emily Post, your whatever that is, etiquette. That's what I'm thinking. All right, enough yakking. Let me take a cut here. I'll get rid of this towel. And I've got the slicer out, my screen, so yeah, we're gonna have a good time by archive standards. All right, I'm gonna have to do the intro to this segment in guerrilla mode. Isn't that always the way? So as you can probably hear, I've got the fan running already because this does get hot. I want to keep the lamp time to a minimum, and I don't want to have to cough up the big bucks for another lamp. And I want to make sure it survives this episode at the very least. I'm not going to be happy if that lamp burns out on me. So I do still have the studio lighting on here, but that'll go off as we get started. So anyway, I figured I would just kind of point at the screen, just for starters here, just so you know what's going on. So we'll start by going into full-on lamp mode, and I have this loaded up in sequence. And as it turns out, this does seem to be complete, although there is one thoroughly unrelated slide right at the beginning, but it fits right at the beginning. So we'll just turn the lamp on. And then I'll set it on the tripod a little later. But yeah, just a cute little welcome sign, probably from the 50s. And then we get back into the Victorian era. So I've got it set for forward mode. And yes, I had to use a book to prop it up. And of course, I only keep manuals and one book in Archive HQ proper. And yeah, imagine Benny Boy having that book. So anyway, just to show off quickly here, I'll press the cycle button and this whole thing will come out and it'll completely shift around the slides. And now we're back into the Victorian era here. And I can pull the slide if I so desire. Say something went wrong. But then I can stick it right back in. So everything seems to work. It makes some kind of grumpy noises here and there, but I guess that's to be expected after a certain point. We'll jump back. Actually, I'll use this because it forces the switch. So let me hit forward and reverse here. And then we'll cycle back to that welcome slide. There we go. So that's the gist of it. There really isn't that much more to learn here. I guess we can, just for a quick yuck, try out the timer. And I'll crank it nice and fast just to See what happens. I'm not doing anything here. Of course, I have it in reverse. We'll fix that. So 3 Mississippi, 4 Mississippi, yeah. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. Yeah, 3 to 4 seconds per. All right. So I will set up the shot. There will be a little bit of keystoning involved here, unfortunately, but I think it's more than good enough to give you an idea here. And since it's only a relative handful of slides and we're getting into the silent movie spirit here, I'm just going to let the whole thing run, and I think we're safe in the public domain category here. I think everything, aside from this opening slide, is north of 100 years old at this point. But we'll find out, and they're all Blackhawk marked slides, so there shouldn't be any porn or anything, but you never know. We've had that moment before, haven't we? All right, so I will set this up and we will pick up. All right, we got us a nice dark room here. The sun's gone down, and so let's have a little show. We'll just do this straight through, and I'll play with the timer a bit, see if I find a comfortable place for it, or maybe just do it one at a time. We'll see if I have anything to say about any of this stuff. So with that, let's just get going here. Hopefully I can see well enough to turn on the lamp. There we go. So let's turn on the timer, and we'll just have it at a nice slow, leisurely pace. I don't have any means of, I didn't think to bring a stopwatch or anything with me, but we'll just see how long it takes to kick over here. So we got our one completely out of place, out of time, non-Blackhawk slide, probably from the 50s, I would assume. And there we go. And I forgot to set it back into forward mode. So we'll just cheat, shall we? Okay, hopefully it's readable. On entering, kindly take seats farthest from the aisle so as not to be disturbed by those coming in later on. But hopefully these are all perfectly readable. I've really tried to focus the camera decently here. So I think we're getting, what, maybe about 20 seconds? Yeah, bring the children. Some of this I'll just jump forward at will. We're always on the lookout for the newest and best in the motion picture realm. If it's shown here, you can depend upon its being good. That Victorian English there. So, judging from the cartoon on the side there, I don't think I'd take that too seriously. Something tells me they played a lot of cheapy stuff. Okay, we've seen this one already, and I love these old ones from back in the Victorian era, the big hat era. I don't know, should we go back to that? So let's just go ahead and jump forward manually. Oh, we got 2 in a row here. And I think this one would probably be from 1915 to 20, would be about my guess, a little before World War I or during World War I. Let's see if there's any famous people in here that I can identify. We got all the hats. Everyone has taken their hat off but you. So that one person watching at home by themselves and they're wearing a hat, well, you know, take it off. Yeah, there's one that dates this, doesn't it? Please don't spit on the floor. Remember the Johnstown flood? Of course, as we all know, that came from spitting a lot on the floor, and I mean a lot. So we'll jump forward here manually. Anyone raising a disturbance in this theater will be bounced. Oh, if we could only go back to that. One of the things that keeps me out of the movie theater anymore. And he was getting kicked in the ass there. Let me jump back to that for a second. I like that. He got his ass kicked, quite literally. We need to go back to that. Loud talking, whistling, or boisterous conduct not allowed. And especially coming from that creep and his 2 robot friends in the front row. No smoking except on that side of the house. So if you're watching at home, yeah, you can smoke. I think I'm gonna have to zoom out just a touch on this one. Okay, you gonna jump forward on me? No? I don't want to wait. The next part will follow at once. It's a shame I don't have, and I'd have to set up a whole nother projector and do a real proper show, and that would take hours and would probably be absolutely no fun. So it is making, the machine's making some grumpy noises, but it's not doing anything that it's not supposed to. Okay, that was an automatic one. Don't twist your necks off. Another picture in 1 minute. The operator is changing the film. Back when it was truly a single reel system. So I'm actually really enjoying this. I'm really liking the quality of the images here. They're a lot cleaner and more colorful than I would have guessed. Another picture play in 1 minute. Boy, my camera's not liking this angle at all. Okay, let's jump forward manually. Next show starts in 3 minutes. Those coming in late may remain and get what's coming to them. Oh yeah. Bring out my inner misanthrope. Throp. Show not over. Stay and see it all. And something tells me I might get in slight trouble for those figures on stage. Wear your historian hats, kids. Those coming late, please remain seated as the first reel will be repeated. Wow. And check out the lady with the lady on top with the two cherubs. Here's a mental image for you. I feel like I'll still need to zoom out a little further there. All right, we got to be getting to the end here. All those coming in late are cordially invited to remain for the next show. Boy, that's something you don't hear anymore, is it? Those having seen the entire show will please pass out and make room for those waiting. Odd sentence structure there. Makes it almost sound like they want you to pass out from dehydration or something. Thanks. Okay, so I think we've come to just about the end here. We will know. It'll just be a white screen. This concludes our performance. Call again. So I think that probably would be it. Yep. So that does conclude our performance. I'll just jump back one just for fun here if I can see what I'm doing. There we go. And I'll turn the timer off. So yeah, it works as well as you can hope for. And I guess I'm gonna call it a night now. How appropriate. So that's it for this installment of Ben's Junk. I will talk to you again soon.